multi-author series and why you should do them. Coming up next, right here on The Right Stuff.
You are listening to the best, the only place to be on Tuesday night. That's right, you're listening to The Right Stuff, and you're at the right place at the right time. From England to Canada, from Detroit to the Poconos, we are showcasing Christian authors worldwide, giving you tips, tools, techniques, and resources for you, the writer, to hone and perfect your craft. Tune in every Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time right here on WPJC 104.5. And your host, Parker J. Cole.
Hi, and welcome to the show. I know some of you are wondering, but wait a minute, Parker, it's 8 o'clock Eastern Time. I said, well, it's okay. We got a special edition today. We're going to be talking about multi-author series and why you should do them. Recently, I've been very and extremely honored to be invited to a couple of anthologies to write for. About 3 of them I've been invited to write for. I'm very, very excited about that. But one of the anthologies that I've been invited to write for is a multi-series project. And we're going to talk about this because I think it's a very unique way for authors to work together, to collaborate, and to reach more readers. And we'll be talking about that in just a few moments with my guest host and contributor today, George Mc Vey. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you that The Cure is out for free today. So if you haven't had a chance to get a copy of my Michigan romance called The Cure, that is free today and tomorrow. So go ahead and get your copy on Kindle. It's available. So many of you have downloaded it, and I want to make sure you get your chance to get a copy of that. Now, if you all sign up for my newsletter, the next Michigan Sweet Romance called Time to Say Goodbye, which will be coming out very soon, you're going to go ahead and get an ARC copy of that. All you have to do is sign up for my newsletter. When the ARC is available, I'm going to send you a copy of that too. Another thing that I'm very excited about is the fact that I will be at the Southern California Christian Writers Conference in June. It's from June 21st through the 24th. And let me tell you, it's going to be a fantastic me there because I'm going to be doing 2 workshops there. I'm going to be doing the workshop for taboo subjects in Christian fiction and then using harsh language and swear words in Christian fiction. And so we're going to be talking about that at the conference. So if you haven't signed up for the Southern California Christian Writers Conference, you definitely want to do that. So go ahead, just Google Southern California Christian Writers Conference, and then you'll be able to register for that conference. It's not just me. There's so many authors that I've interviewed on this show, so many authors that you know and love are going to be there as well. So definitely it's a conference you do not want to miss. So go ahead, register for the Southern California Christian Writers Conference. As always, topic, you certainly can by calling in at 646-668-8485 and then press 1 to be live on air, or hit me on Twitter at ParkerJCole, #right with your questions and comments. We're going to go ahead and take a quick short break. We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere. More with Parker and her guest on the Right Stuff Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Hi. Is your book club in need of some fresh and exciting questions to ask club members and authors at your next book club meeting? Literations, the book conversation game, is 70 thought-provoking questions to really get into an in-depth discussion about the books you and your club members are reading. These questions really get into the characters, the storyline, and into the author's head. These questions may just give you and your book club members a whole new way to get into a new conversation, a literation. Literations is also a great set of tools for bloggers, interviewers, and authors to use a discussion question. Are you ready to get lit? Please visit our website at litversations.com, LITVER.com. And please like our Facebook page at Simply said reading accessories. Thank you.
Have you read the latest issue of Sormag Digital, the award-winning literary magazine for multicultural readers and writers? Sormag Digital is available quarterly and showcases interviews with the best authors in multicultural literature. Sormag Digital features craft and business articles for those interested in writing. If you're looking for a good book, check out our book reviews on what's hot in multicultural literature. For writers looking for new readers to get in front of, Sormag Digital is the perfect place to introduce your book. We offer advertising spaces that fit your promotional budget. Get your free subscription on Sormag.com or order a print issue on magcloud.com. If you would like more information about Sormag Digital, check us out on Sormag.com or contact us at sormag@yahoo.com. Sormag Digital is the magazine for multicultural readers and writers.
Don't go anywhere. More with Parker and her guests on the Right Stuff Radio Show. We'll be right back. We're back, and you're hanging out with the queen of Tuesday night, Parker J. and her guests, right here on The Right Stuff.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. You're listening to The Right Stuff here on WPJC 104.5. Again, so glad you are here with me. We are talking about multi-author series and why you should do them. Now, you know I interview authors all over the world, from England to Australia to China to the U.S. It doesn't matter where you are. I introduce and interview all authors of the Christian from all over the world. One thing that I have loved is the collaboration interacting with my authors. We oftentimes, when they're on this show or when we meet, I'm not interested in just a one-time deal. I enjoy creating relationships with authors. And this gentleman who's coming on board is an author who I love. I love his work, and I also love him as a brother in Christ. So without further ado, I want to introduce my guest co-host and contributor today, George Mc Vey. George, how are you doing today?
Doing grand, Parker. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. And again, thank you so much for being with me on the show. I think the topic we have is one that's starting to make its way around the indie author movement and other author movements going on right now. I think it's really, really good that we're talking about this, when it comes to multi-author. But before we talk about that, I want people to know who you are. So go ahead and tell us who you are in your own words.
Well, I'm a retired pastor who picked up a pen 5 years ago and started writing when my life took a turn that I couldn't be in the pulpit anymore. And I started with nonfiction stuff, but I come from a family of storytellers, so there's always been these stories that I've wanted to tell, and since I was writing anyway, I decided to do that, and that's kind of become more what I do than the nonfiction stuff. So that's really who I am, a storyteller with books instead of my mouth.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, George. I think to be a writer, you have to be a storyteller. It doesn't matter if you tell nonfiction or fiction, you have to be a storyteller. Because as they say, the quote is sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. You know what I mean? Like you find out, somebody really did do that. So I totally feel you on that one. We do have a caller calling in, a Fran calling in from Arizona. Fran, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Parker, and to the pastor as well.
I know you had a comment or a question for us, so go ahead and share with us, please.
Sure. What I wanted to say was that, just as you may mention, the collaboration project with half a dozen authors is very, very powerful. The teamwork aspect in and of itself is very important because you now have, several authors who come together and now have the ability to reach out and touch many more lives as opposed to just one author. And then the author can read and be inspired and certainly influenced by their colleagues as well. So, yes, the collaboration is definitely a vehicle for maximum impact.
George, I want you to respond to first comments, so go ahead and respond.
I agree. It is, and the thing that, unless you're doing one or have done one or get invited to do one, that you miss in all of this is not only do you have more impact, but your writing is always better. because you have to step up with these other authors, and it causes you to bring a better product, all of you. And it's fun. I mean, it's just fun to sit down together and spin a story that's going to, in the ones that I'm involved in anyway, there's our individual stories, and then there's the story that carries through all the books, that brings that world together. And it's fun to sit down and figure that stuff out together, whether, and one of the series that I'm in, we have both plotter-type writers and pantser-type writers, and it's neat to see the two of them be able to work together as well and share.
You know what? And if I can add something, and thank you, George.
Yeah.
The Bible scripture, iron sharpens iron, and that's the most exciting part of that. It's not so much a competition, and really helping each other and being inspired. It's just amazing.
Right, I agree, and that's something that we as authors need to learn, is that we don't have to be in competition with each other. We shouldn't be in competition with each other. Somebody who reads my books is going to read your books too, if they're drawn to them, and there's no reason that I have to be afraid of that.
I like how you said that, George. And Fran, thank you again for weighing in on our topic. For any of you out there who are involved in a multi-author series, we definitely want to hear from you. So feel free to call in at 646-668-8485 and press 1. We'd love to hear your experience, love to hear your resources you may have, your pros, your cons, how to make things better. I don't think there's a lot of cons to this, though, George. I totally don't think there's a lot of cons to this at all, because writers in general are, first of all, talkers. Even though writers are introverts, when we all get together, we all talk, because we're all just slamming around different ideas and butting heads. And when we have butting heads, we're talking like butting heads in joy, butting heads in competition. And then you get your that creative flow and that creative energy going. And so for those of you who have participated in a multi-author series, or you're doing it right now, feel free to call in. Once again, I'll give you that number, 646-668-8485, and then press 1. Or make sure you hit me on Twitter at Parker J, so we can definitely hear from you and get your thoughts about this too. Now, some people listening in, George, may be saying, multi-author series, what are you talking about? Is that the same thing as an anthology? So let's go ahead and get some terms and definitions going right now, George. How would you define an anthology? How would you define a multi-author series?
Okay. They are not the same thing. An anthology is individual short stories written by authors, maybe around the same topic, maybe not around the same topic, put in a book. And all of them are the author. All of them share the royalty as authors, which, takes your royalty down to very little. Whereas in a multi-author series, you're collaborating with these people. You're building a world together. You share some characters together. But when you write the book, it's your book. You're in control of that book. You get all the royalties. You do all the work. So it's literally, and I think personally, this is just me, having been involved in two of them now, I think they're better series because you have more than one voice.
Right.
Writing.
Right.
When an author writes a series, after a certain point, every book starts to somewhat be the same, because it's the same voice writing every book in the series. With this multi-author, the world is so much more complex, just like the real world, because you have all these different voices and all these different styles coming together.
Okay. And I think, too, as we talk about the nuances of a multi-author series, is that there is a financial aspect that some people may not have considered. And I thought about that as, we're in one together, me and you are in one together. And then I interviewed a few authors who were in another multi-author series we're going to talk about later on in the broadcast. And so when we all came on board, I was like, well, how does the royalty split? And you were like, well, the royalty split, there isn't one because you're part of the same world, but everyone benefits from it. Even though you're producing the book, the cover, editing, all that, everyone still benefits from it, even though everyone put their own 100% of themselves into that book. Whether you got someone to do the cover, got someone to do the editing, everyone's still going to benefit, but you are going to benefit as well because they're going to benefit from exposure and you're going to benefit financially from that because as you have more authors within the series and as the series grows in popularity and people buy it, they're like, oh my gosh, can't wait to the next one. And so I think that's one aspect of a multi-author series that some people may not have considered when they do that. Now, you mentioned earlier in your answer, you mentioned that we have plotters and pantsers on the series that you're working with and how we're able to work together. And I think that's significant because some people say, well, I work alone, They say, I work alone. I have my system here. I know what I like. I work alone. And I said with the multi-author series, it forces you to up your game, because if you read a book with one of your fellow authors within this series, you may go, oh, wow, that was fantastic. But I have to be just as good or just as better as that. And it kind of brings about a friendly competition, not a aggressive one, but a friendly competition with each other. Why do you think that's important when it comes to the multi-author series and why authors should participate in them?
Well, it just honestly, to me, it's a win-win for you. I mean, I'm one of those people, when I write, for the most part, I like to write alone. I don't like a lot of input because I know the story I want to tell. But in this, in the two that I'm involved in right now, I've had to sit down with other people and at least elements of the story we've had to discuss, the elements that run through all the books. By the same token, we all, whether you're a pantser or a plotter, we all have those moments when you're writing something and you just know it doesn't work. In doing these, you can go to all those other people involved in this series and say, help me.
Yeah.
And they're invested in helping you make that scene work because ultimately it affects them. You said it yourself. There's marketing-wise, this is a win for everyone because everyone promotes every book in the series that comes out. So you pick up new readers who may not have ever heard of you before from one of the other authors or from all of the other authors involved. And the same is true when it comes to writing. You may learn a new technique or a new way to describe something or just from working with these people. So it makes your craft better, even in books that you're writing that aren't part of a multi-author series. So,
it's
to me,
on the benefit.
I haven't, and for me, I haven't come across a downside yet.
We're just continuing our discussion about multi-author series, why you should do them. I think that it's going to be next wave of books that's going to come out because as more and more authors collaborate together, they want to increase their reach. And so we're going to talk about why they're going to collaborate together, why we think this will be the next wave of what indie authors are going to do and come back from the break. You still have a chance to weigh in. Feel free to call in at 646-668-8485 and press 1 to be live on air. Or you hit me on Twitter at ParkerJCole, #RightStuff. With your questions and comments. We're going to go ahead and take a quick short break. We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere. More with Parker and her guests on the Right Stuff Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Engaging the culture's imagination through speculative fiction, the Untold Podcast produces audio fiction from a Christian worldview. Find us over at untoldpodcast.com, where we partner with authors to tell science fiction, fantasy, supernatural, and horror stories. Find links at untoldpodcast.com to subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, and a variety of other platforms. Each month we produce high-quality audio fiction that's free to download and free to listen. Our submissions are open, and we're always looking to add another great story to over 24 hours of narrative entertainment. Find all of our audio fiction over at www.untoldpodcast.com.
Authors, are you looking for a new way to get your book in the hands of new audience of targeted buyers? Then a virtual book tour is for you. Right now, virtual book tours is an excellent opportunity for you to introduce your book and who you are as an author. Launching your book is very important. A virtual book tour will connect you with readers. We at WNL, we specialize in book tours, book blasts, radio tours, cover reveals, and Facebook chat. Promoting and marketing your book is what we do. Online publicity, the exposure and the publicity is what you need. Let us help you reach new readers and a new audience. We take care of everything so you don't have to. We set up the tour for you. We connect you with bloggers to advertise your book by way of interviews, guest posts, and reviews. If you are an author of a newly published book, have an upcoming release, or just want to give a previously published book new life, a virtual book tour is your answer. Check our tours out at www.wnlbooktours.com. Visit me on Facebook. I am the owner, Paulette Harper.
We're back, and you're hanging out with the queen of Tuesday night, Parker J. and her guests, right here on The Right Stuff.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. I'm so glad you are here with me today as we talk about multi-author series and why you them. I have been invited to participate in a couple of anthologies, and let me tell you, it is such an honor to do that. But this multi-author series, I really think it's going to take the indie author movement to another level, because now, instead of being indie authors, we're indie author collaborators. And we're going to talk about that with George. George is my wonderful guest co-host, who has been with me several times on the show, a wonderful man of God, also a wonderful writer, just a great friend. He's such a huge supporter of the show. And again, George, thank you again for being with me on the show. Before the break, I mentioned that there's another reason why I believe the multi-author series is going to be the next wave that's going to crest in the indie author movement. And I want to talk about the reasons why that's going to happen. So go ahead, give us a couple of reasons why we think this is going to be the next wave of books that's going to be coming.
Well, first off, as an indie author and as a leader of an indie author writers group, I often hear indie authors complaining that they just can't reach the market they want to reach. They can't find a way to get their books to new readers. Well, here is an easy way to do it, because every author involved in this multi-author series is invested in making sure that every book reaches all of their readers.
Right.
So now you go from your reader base to your reader base and the reader base of 5, 10, 15 other authors as well. So that's the first upside to this, is that it makes your marketing. One of the things that indies are all the time screaming about is we wish marketing books was easier. Well, with this it is. Because you're only doing a portion of the marketing for the books, because so is everyone else. So, that's another upside. Then there's the upside that, that we kind of touched on a little bit before the break, and that's the upside in your craft. Because here you are being introduced to new writers who write new ways. Even if you think you write the same, you'll always discover there's something that they do different. They may have different resources than you have. They may know a different place to go to find names, to find information, and it gives you more resources, which helps your craft as well. They force you to. If they're an author that you think is better than you, they force you to come up to their level, because you don't want to be the weak link.
Right.
It's competition in a good way. Exactly. But the truth is, the downsides are so small to this.
Yeah.
As long as the person setting this up, the person that's heading this up, is diligent in finding the right authors for the series.
George, you made a comment there I wanted to add to that. You mentioned about the outreach and marketing. Now, I know an author friend of mine, she recently joined a anthology, and the two authors had more of a more readers than she had, and she actually got visibility because she joined with them in this anthology. But some of the people are like, well, who's that? Because they know these two authors, but her. And I thought that was kind of interesting because with this author series, if you have an author who has a bigger outreach than you do, you're basically riding those coattails because there's nothing wrong with that. I think I think there's nothing wrong with that if you ride those coattails because you're going to benefit from it because someone's going to say, well, this series is so interesting. I want to keep reading, keep that going there. And I mentioned how you said like the negatives are so small. I said the negative I could possibly think of is who's going to like you said, organize everything because I'm not really good at organizing things. You know what I mean? I tend to like to go off a flow. So you do need that. You probably need a plotter. You probably need a plotter to organize.
Not
the
only
whole
that,
thing.
you need somebody who's administratively minded.
Yes, exactly. So that's something our listeners should take into place too. Mm-hmm.
Right. Because that author, or even not an author who wants to be involved in this. I mean, there could be an author's wife or child or, more adult child or even teen who is just an administrative genius who can come in and say, okay, this is what we need to set up. And that's a key for these to work.
Yeah.
Is that everyone needs to be on the same page. And to do that, you've got to have that person who is detail-oriented and makes everybody else record their details where everyone can see them.
I think you make a point there because one thing for our multi-series that we're going to be talking about in a few moments, for our multi-series, we have the author who is very good at administrative work, taking care of everything. And so I love it, absolutely love it. I had a problem with the Excel sheet for our listeners because we're make sure all the common elements are there. And so I have just putting a picture in the Excel sheet, and I'm like, I feel like an idiot right now. How come I can't get this? And she took care of it, and I was like, great, dishes are done. You know what I mean? I feel totally great that we have that there. So those of you considering a multi-series, make sure you have someone who's administratively minded, who's detail-oriented, that can take care of the small details. And George, I don't think they have to be the author themselves. Like you said, it could be a friend, it could be a cousin, someone who can keep track of everything, someone that you can trust to keep track of everything.
I have a friend who I am not involved in a series with, but she's kind of my mentor in doing these. She's a well-known author who I will not mention by name, but she has an assistant. Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh yeah.
But she literally has an assistant who that's part of her job is, hey, I'm heading up this multi-author series. Your job is to make sure that all the authors are on the same page. And so she's the one who keeps the spreadsheet. She's the one who keeps the character sheet. She's the one who keeps the town map. She's the one that makes sure all of that is up to date. And then, of course, the other thing is they have, and we do too, we just haven't really talked a lot about it. They have someone whose whole job is to read every book before it comes out to make sure that the continuity works.
Yeah, and so these are things to consider for those of you considering an multi-author series. These are things for you to consider. Someone who's detail-oriented, someone who can take care of administrative work, someone who can be responsible for that cohesion there. And then you also have that surprise element that's involved. We do have a caller calling in from Illinois. Caller, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Parker. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Want to weigh in on our topic or ask a question? Go ahead and chime right in.
Well, as you know, I'm one of the participating authors in the series you're doing, Java Cupid. My name's Sophie Dawson. And when you were talking about your writing gets elevated because you have these other authors you're wanting to make sure that your writing, at least for me, I want my writing to enhance them. I don't want my writing, my book to be, of a lesser quality. So it forces me to really be aware of every word that I write, because I want to make sure that George's and yours and Lynn's books are all, because people read mine, that was good, I want to read the others.
Right. Right. I want George to respond to that. So, George, go ahead and respond to that.
Well, first off, hey, Sophie. Sophie's my writing partner. We've written a book together, and when we write, we bounce ideas off each other all the time. So she was a natural when we started on this project to say, hey, come and be part of. But she's exactly right. The truth is, I think each of us feels like everyone else in the project is better than they are. When in reality, that's probably not true. But we're all authors, and we're all introverts, and because we're all authors and introverts, we also all have that, they're so much better than I am feeling that makes us, and she's right, she has said it several times in our writing group that we chat about things, that she wants to do better because she wants readers who read her books to want to read the next book that's maybe not by her, and we're all the same way. Hey, I want my book to be interesting enough that when it's done, the reader wants to know what's still happening in this series, and they'll read the next book by the next author. So it does make you come up a level or two or three.
I think that's important, too. And, Sophie, thanks for joining our conversation. We're talking about multi-author series. If you want to weigh in on our topic, you certainly can. Just simply call in 646-668-8485 and then press 1 to weigh in on a conversation. Sophie, one thing you said, and I'm going to have you respond to this, Sophie, and then we'll have George respond to it. One thing you said is that it's the idea that someone's better than me. And I think every author on planet Earth, from Stephen King to whoever, I think sometimes you get that way, like, so-and-so wrote better than me. You can have lots of books people enjoy, but I guess there's always that doubt, that nugget of doubt that's inside of us that we tend to, hold on and wrap up in a blank. And so what I wanted to do was that with this multi-author series, it just really does forces you to up your game. And then what happens is that you're upping the game, not just for yourself, you're upping the game for everybody, because you want everybody to benefit. And so for those of us who are listening to the show, who are considering a multi-author series, how would you encourage them to take that nugget of doubt and crumble it up until it flies away into the air? So go ahead, Sophie, go ahead and you give us your thoughts. And George, I want you to close us out with it.
One of the things that I find very beneficial, you're right. We are all introverts who are writers. And one of the things that, and I'm going to use the term artist, or, it's not a good term, but it's the only one that I can think of. We all are insecure. That's where we get we can, in our creation of our characters, we can expose our insecurity and work through it to make our characters secure at the end. But the fact that I'm insecure, George is insecure, Lynn's insecure, you're insecure, we can take that and I can post my snippets and say, okay, here, help me. What's wrong with this scene? Oh, no, you're not. George isn't.
Yes, I am. I just don't let y'all see it.
Oh, yeah, right. You're transparent, George. We all know it. But it's the opportunity to say, hey, I feel safe within this group to post my Here's I have a problem with this scene. Help me fix it. And the support that I get from the three of you guys that are in the scene, in the group with Java Cupid series, has helped me so much. It's a way of putting it out there, getting the help you need, and then being able to turn around when somebody else posts theirs and says, "What's wrong with this scene?" There's a camaraderie. There's a brother sisterhood type of relationship that develops that I think is very beneficial for, at least for me. That's what I'm seeing. And I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Oh, no, you did fine, Sophie. You definitely fine. I know George is going to bring that about, because with the multi-author series, like I said before in the beginning of the show, for me, I am interested in relationships. I'm not interested in just, I'm interested in relationships. And what happens when you have each other pushing each other, helping each other, and then that relationship grows. It's okay to share your insecurities. It's okay to share, you know what, I think this is the dumbest thing I've ever written in my life. I don't know how many times I said that, and then I can go in there and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? So, George, I want you to just close that out so we can go to our next break. So go ahead, close that out real quick with your thoughts.
Well, I mean, Sophie said it exactly right. It makes us better because we have each other. I mean, it really is, and you're right, too. It's more about the relationship even in that, than it is about writing. Because there are those other authors who can say, no, that's a good scene. Or they can say, oh, that's a good scene, but it could be better. And then the next day, they're the one asking the question, and you can give them something that they had not thought about before. And it lets you see, oh, maybe I'm not as bad at this as I think I am. So,
right.
And if you think, oh, I am as bad at this as I think I am, then you at least are learning how to be better by being involved with these other people. And I think that's the key. The key to this is you're involved with these people.
And I think you made a really good point there, George. We're going to go ahead and take a quick short break. We've got another question coming in. And then we're going to talk about the series that me, George, Sophie, and another one of us, Lynn, are a part of. So I want you to stay tuned for that. You're going to absolutely love it. The first book's already out, so I'm really excited for that. If you want to call in and weigh in, you certainly can. Call in at 646-668-8485. Press 1 to be live on air, or hit me on Twitter at ParkerJCo, #WriteStuff with your question or your comment. We're going to go ahead and take a quick short break. We'll be right back.
Have you read the latest issue of Sormag Digital, the award-winning literary magazine for multicultural readers and writers? Sormag Digital is available quarterly and showcases interviews with the best authors in multicultural literature. Sormag Digital features craft and business articles for those interested in writing. If you're looking for a good book, check out our book reviews on what's hot in multicultural literature. For writers looking for a new reader to get in front of, Sormag Digital is the perfect place to introduce your book. We offer advertising spaces that fit your promotional budget. Get your free subscription on Sormag.com or order a print issue on magcloud.com. If you would like more information about Sormag Digital, check us out on Sormag.com or contact us at sormag@yahoo.com. Sormag Digital is the magazine for multicultural readers and writers.
Engaging the culture's imagination through speculative fiction, the Untold Podcast produces audio fiction from a Christian worldview. Find us over at untoldpodcast.com, where we partner with authors to tell science fiction, fantasy, supernatural, and horror stories. Find links at untoldpodcast.com to subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, and a variety of other platforms. Each month we produce high-quality audio fiction that's free to download and free to listen. Our submissions are open, and we're always looking to add another great story to over 24 hours of narrative entertainment. Find all of our audio fiction over at www.untoldpodcast.com. God gives humans the gift of making amazing stories to glorify Him. At speculativefaith.com, our ministry is to help fans explore fantasy, science fiction, supernatural stories, and beyond from an intentional and biblical Christian perspective. We share daily articles and have extensive archives tackling hot topics like end times beliefs, the art of writing, creative excellence in the Christian subcultures, discernment, sex, magic, Harry Potter, and space aliens and the Bible. If you are a parent or anyone else with a discriminating palate, our reviewers explore fantastical novels, movies, television, and games in light of God's beauty, goodness, and truth. Want to find Christian stories? The Spec Faith Library lists every fantastical novel we can find from a Christian author. It's all part of our mission to discern, engage, and enjoy fantastical human creativity in honor of our Creator, Jesus Christ. SpeculativeFaith.com, exploring fantastical stories for God's glory.
We're back, and you're hanging out with the queen of Tuesday night, Parker J. and her guests, right here on The Right Stuff.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. You're listening to The Right Stuff here on WPJC 104.5. Again, so glad you are here with me for this special edition of the show. We are talking about multi-author series and why you, that writer out there that I'm talking to, the one that has not picked up the pen to write, the one that God has given the gift to write, why you should do them. And I've been talking about that with my wonderful guest co-host and contributor today, George Mc Vey. He is a wonderful author. He's a pastor, brother in Christ, just knows exactly what he's talking about, what he's doing. And George, once again, thank you for being with me on the show as we tackle this topic. Again, it's such a great topic. It's such a great way for authors to collaborate. One of the things that happened in the early days of indie author was this constant bickering and aggression that some indie authors have for other authors. It was rather strange. I remember thinking, when I heard about some of these things happening, I remember thinking at the time, oh my gosh, there are like 6 billion people on the planet. Chances are they're not all going to read your book. So why are you going at each other's throats like this? And now with this multi-author series, what's going to happen is that you don't have to bicker and fight with each other. You can all work together. And so, George, that brings me to a question I received from Allie in Beech Grove, Indiana. Allie, thank you for your question. Allie says, what are some tips on how to approach other authors about joining you for a multi-author series? Allie, thank you for your question. George?
Yeah, Allie, that's a great question, and it's one that we definitely need to address because there's writers sitting out there right now that are thinking, this sounds awesome, how do I get involved? Well, the first thing I would suggest is joining some writers groups online. In real life too, but online, because we're all introverts and we may not actually go to a real life in-person, look somebody in the eye group. But we can all join a writers group. And if you don't know of a writers group, join a readers group. And then just start connecting with the writers. And if you have an idea for a multi-author series, say, hey, I've got an idea for a series. I'd like to have a bunch of authors work with me on it. And see who responds. That's how we did with the multi-author series that I'm heading up, called Phantom Horse Bridge, is I had 2 of us. We wanted at least one more, but everybody I approached was too busy or had something else going on or just wasn't interested in the idea. So I went into a writer's group and said, hey, I've got this idea. I need an author or 2 who's interested. And we got a response from an author I had never met before. And now she's an integral part of our little group because of this series. So we've made a new friend, and in doing so, we learned some new techniques. So that's one way to do it. The other is, the same thing. Go into those groups and say, hey, I'd love to work on one of these. Is somebody putting one together? Don't be afraid to ask. Because if you don't ask, you're not going to get an invite. But if you do, who knows? Somebody might say, what are you talking about? And they've never heard of that. And then you can say, this is what we're doing. This is the next big thing coming up.
I like how you mentioned that too. I like how you mentioned that, Pastor, because you said that you have to ask. The first thing you said is that you have to ask. You know what I mean? If you don't ask, you don't know. And you may be surprised of people who are going to get on board with you. And when that happens, then you've already invited success into your circle. You already invited that success because each of you are going to work hard toward that multi-author series. They're going to work toward that. So I wanted to bring Sophie back on, George, because I want to talk about our series. We're very excited about it. And the series, I'm going to let the nuggets of it is this. What happened, because I want George and Sophie to talk about their experience, how they got together. But what happened is that I was doing the interview with George and the Phantom Horse series that is coming out, I believe in September. And I was doing an interview on it, and as I was listening to it, I was so invigorated by the energy all these authors were talking about. I was very invigorated by that. And I said, wow, I want to do that too, but hey, I don't know, maybe they have something else going. And then when I was approached about this one, I'm like, well, heck yeah, I want to be a part of it. Heck yeah, So I was just excited about that. And so our series is called the Java Cupid series. So go ahead, George, go ahead and tell us, or Sophie. Sophie, you could tell us, Sophie, about what that series, what the overall theme about that series is about.
Well, the Java Cupid is a coffee shop. It's actually a coffee shop with a bar and grill attached. So it's a restaurant and a coffee shop. Well, the coffee shop sells, it's, kind of a Starbucks type thing. But periodically, nobody knows when, there's a cup that ends up with a little phrase on it. It's written in a heat-sensitive ink, so nobody knows when it's going to show up. And it's always something that has to do with the love life of someone. And it ends up in some way helping the couple get together, or making it one half of the couple realize that there's something going on, and maybe they're looking at who wrote this or whatever. And so I loved the concept when I heard about it and was asked to join. And I'm like, I've got a whole bunch of writing to do, but I can do a couple of books on this. And especially when I knew that George was going to be involved. George and I go back a long ways. But
6 years.
I have, Is it that long? Yeah, I guess it is.
It has been.
Yes, it has. And so the fact that George was involved helped me in my insecurity because I knew that I had a backup. But I just think that the idea is great, and as the stories have, all you guys, different authors, have talked about your stories that you're going to be writing. It invigorates me for my story.
Exactly.
And nobody knows who the Java Cupid is.
Yeah, and I think that's the cool part of this, is that these messages show up. They're exactly what is needed to kickstart this romance, and yet when it comes out that there was a message, no one knows who wrote the message. There's no giveaway in any of the books telling you who it is. There may be some hints as to who it could be, but that's the mystery of this series that we're going to let run as long as the series runs.
Oh yeah, and it's exciting too. I want us to talk about the couples we have, because we have massive with the couples and people all involved, and that was one aspect I loved about doing the author series. Is you have that administrative hand for all this data. All you have to do is go to make sure you keep the continuity together. You still have creative license with your characters and things like that. For example, for my, I have 3 books planned for the series. For my series, my characters drink tea. for example, they drink tea. There's no way they're going to drink coffee. And that's because it's a reflection of me. I don't like coffee. And so I'm like, if I'm in the Java Cube, all my people are going to drink tea. That's just who I am. It's all that, you know. And so one thing I like about that is that continuity. So let's say if in one author series we're talking to a barista, and the barista's name is Dylan. In this next book, you'll see Dylan again, or you'll see another barista, you know, and we have all that continuity there. So all we got to do, if we get off track and go, oh, that's what so-and-so's name here, that's what he looks like, this what he looks like, stuff like that. And so, George, I want you to talk about how the couples in this are so fantastic. Like the couples who meet via the Java Cupids are so fantastic because they really, it's really been fun for everybody about that. So go ahead and talk about that, George.
It really is, and the neat thing is that we all got to sit down. We built a character sheet that we can all see. We all put our characters in it and their quirks in it, and we go online and hunt pictures of people we think look like that character, and we throw that up, and it's all there for every author in the series to have access to at any time. We have a map of the city, so that, you know, not everything has to actually happen at the Java Cupid. You know, so, and that's helpful too. But the truth is, man, our couples are awesome. We have, in the first book, Java Break, we have Dylan and somebody help me.
Oh, wow.
Let me go to the spreadsheet.
Yeah, let's go to the spreadsheet.
That's what I'm doing.
Well, actually, George and Sophie, I got a surprise because we got Lynn, who's another part of our group online.
Good.
So, Lynn, how you doing
She's
today?
not another part. She's the head. This is her series.
Yeah.
Let her talk about it.
I heard everybody went to
Thank you for
Parker's
joining us.
play, and I didn't quite get in on the first of it, but hey, listen, you guys are doing an awesome job. And yes, Java Cupid was originally my idea. Because I just like weird stories that are just off the wall and different from everything else you see, you know. And so I, of course, shared it with George and Sophie, and they liked it too. And they were like, gosh, you know, I think I got a couple ideas for this too. And I'm like, hey, come on board because this is going to be a really fun story for each of us to write in our own different ways. And, you know, and you were trying to remember your baristas. I see you've got Dylan and Ashley and Joy and Kobe and Jeb and Jamie.
And most of them have stories coming up, right, Lynn?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. And what George was just fixing to go look at was what we've done, and you were talking about the continuity between all of us. What we've done is we've gone into a thing called Google Documents where we can share documents, and we've created spreadsheets that have all of the characters and their descriptions. And if we find pictures of people that we think looks like that character, we'll post those in there. And those pictures may be real-life people at Walmart, you know, because we find people out in public and we're like, my God, that is so that person. And so we'll keep a picture of them and we'll put it in on our spreadsheet. And it helps everybody to go back to it and know, you know, was that person 6'7" or were they, you know, 5'4", stuff like that. And that's how we have the continuity, is that we have it all written down. We can go back and look at it, and then there's always the chat room where we go, hey, you know, was this person from Texas or were they from natives to Colorado, or, you know, did they live near the river? Were they on the other side of town? You know, and so we can work those kind of things out too. And it's a blast. It's like a bunch of friends getting together and talking and creating a world.
That's the fun part too. That's the fun part. I remember when I had got on board and we were sharing ideas. Literally, we were on the phone for maybe 4 hours. I mean, we were just going back and forth on this, and we were having such a good time because as the ideas kept flowing, I started to get my ideas together. I started to get, you know, George like, well, we could do this. What about this? And just getting all that help here, and that's why these multi-author series are so. I almost think they're almost necessary. Not that you have to do one all the time, but you start to build relationships and you can feed off of each other. Yeah. And like Sophie said earlier, she said, if I'm feeling insecure about this part, I can go to you guys and say, hey, how does this sound? And chances are writers, generally speaking, not all the time, but generally speaking, tend to be more harder critiques because we are often under critique from readers. Readers, they don't care that, you spent 6 years writing this book. If that book sucked, that book sucked. You know what I mean? They're going to let you know that, And so we all, as an author, so that's why, we go to each other, hey, how does it sound? And the author will say, I think you need to tweak this or tweak this here, or that sounds great. I can visualize this. I can feel the passion or feel the angst or the tension or stuff like that. And so we're getting close to the end of our show. It's been such a great time. And to be honest with everybody, I hadn't planned this, but all of us from Java Cupid series are all on the air today, and I'm so excited. So what I want to do, I want to give each of my co-authors a chance to tell you where they're from. I'm sorry, their website, the books, the kind of books they write, where you can find them online. I'm going to start with our fearless leader, Lynn. I'm going to end with George. So, Lynn, go ahead, tell us where you can find you online, the book kind of books you write, and all that good stuff.
Okay. All right, I have a website that is LynnDonovanAuthor.com. And then I have an email address that is authorLynnDonovan@gmail.com. I am available on Amazon, and my Amazon page, I've got it here in front of me, is Amazon.com/Lynn-Donovan/B009WQFWK. But if you'll just go to Amazon.com and Google Lynn Donovan, do the search for Lynn Donovan, you'll find me. Now, there are 2 Lynn Donovans, so be sure you're finding the one that's a brunette, because that's me. The blonde is not me. So there's 2 of us. But anyway,
she's good too, though.
He is. He actually does nonfiction also. My books, up until this series, has been under the Christian fiction umbrella. I've written sci-fi. I've written paranormal. I've written, one of my books was called Soft Horror, but it was under Christian fiction. So, I mean, I have like 8 books out under that genre. And then now I'm moving into secular genre of contemporary romance with this Java Cupid. And we've got 14 books planned in that series. And then I've got some other stuff that'll be coming up too. So just check me out on Amazon.com. And if you have any trouble finding me, just send me an email at the Gmail address, authorLynnDonovan@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to put you in the right direction.
Lynn, again, thank you for really heading up this project with our multi-author series called Java Cupids. And Lynn's book is out, so if you want to see a taste of this series, her book's out. It's called Java Break, and it's under Java Cupids. So look up Java Break under Lynn Donovan. You're going to love that story. I read it in probably 20, 30 minutes because, she writes so effortlessly, and you're just caught up in the action and everything. So so there's no pressure on our end at all. And then a sneak peek from George. Oh, my gosh. Okay. So what's really nice about this multi-author series that we're all doing is that we're also giving you a sneak peek of the next book. And so that may be a tip for those of you considering a multi-author series that you may want to do. So, Lynn, thanks for being with us on the show, and thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me come.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Lynn. What were you saying?
I said thank you so much for letting me come play.
Oh, glad you came to play with us. I appreciate that. And then we have Sophie. Sophie, go ahead. Let people know about you, where you can find you, and kind of books, all that good stuff.
Well, I also have a website. It's sophie-dawson.com. You can find me on Amazon. Just search Sophie Dawson. There are 2 of those too, and I do not write the ones on paper making. I write. I make a mess of that. I write Christian. Most of my books right now are Christian historical fiction. I've got 2 series out, the Cottonwood series and the Stones Creek series, which are both set in the late 1800s. Then I also have now a series. It's a contemporary Christian romance series. The series is called Love's Infestation, which is a little odd, but that's me. And now I'm involved in the Java Cupid series. I've got 10 books out.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Basically, yeah. After about 3, you lose count. But my books are definitely Christian based, and although Java Cupid is not, the morals in my books will continue to be Christian morals. So
yeah, they'll continue to reflect that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and my email address is sophiesbooks@icloud.com, and I'm on Sophie's. Let's see, Sophie Dawson Novels is my webpage on Facebook, and my Twitter is. Let me think a second. I think it's Sophie Dawson 76. At Sophie Dawson 7. I think that's what it is, but something close. So.
Thank you again, too. Thank you for being with me on the show and sharing your work with us. Like I really looking forward to Love Infestation. I already have one, so I'm looking forward to Love Infestation. And thank you for joining in our talk today.
Well, thank you for having me.
And then, George, you're going to round it off. And like I said, this wasn't planned. We did not have planned to have everybody with Java Cupids on air, but I'm so glad we did, because you can just tell from our own excitement about how this project is just a fantastic way to connect, to improve your writing, to work together, to get more exposure. I mean, so many positives to this whole project, and I want you to end it out with just some of your thoughts here. But first, I want people to know where they can find you online, and then let's go ahead and just kind of give our final thoughts about this.
All right. Well, I am found. I also have a website. What author doesn't? And it's George Mc Vey. And if you don't, you should.
Yes, please.
It's George Mc Vey /Weebly.com. And you can get to my Amazon page from there. You can sign up for my newsletter from there. You can, if you're a reader and you want to get all my books for free and are willing to help make them better, you can sign up to be a beta reader there. So, that's a plus. Plus, you can find me on Facebook. Again, every author worth their salt is on Facebook. So you can find me there at author George Mc Vey, George H. Mc Vey. So, and that's pretty much how you can find me. The big thing about this is there really is I'm just going to say it, there's no downside that I have found yet in doing a multi-author series. And the benefits are astronomical. And as you can see, it's fun. I mean, we're having a blast in both series that I'm working on. We are having a blast writing them and interacting with each other and playing with these characters. And there's even scenes that we write that are never going to make it into the book, but we write them just to make each other laugh. So, and it's fun. It's fun, and yet it's fun in a way that will help you gain, as an author, will help you gain new readers and grow your craft and your reader bases. So there really isn't a downside. Just to be honest. With the Java Cupid series, I want to say this. You said it already, Parker, but book 1 is Java Break, and it's by Lynn Donovan, and it's already out. Excuse me, at Amazon. Pick it up and read it, because you've got 2 weeks before book 2 comes out. So you might want to have it read before. You don't have to read these books in order. They are all standalone, and yet you're really going to want to read them. So read Java Break. In the end of it, you'll see a sneak peek into my book, which is Java Muse, and that'll be out June the 12th.
And that's what's so exciting about the multi-author series, that because we've already planned it, you're going to be getting consistent work, consistent product, consistent books. Like we got to plan for every 3 weeks or so, we're going to have a new book out.
That's right.
every 3 weeks we're going to have a new book out, and that just makes the reader go, oh, okay, I don't have to wait too long. You know, some of our favorite authors that we love, we have to wait a year before we can get the next book. You're like, oh, my gosh, you know, especially if you hang on the book on the cliffhanger. Your readers will come and just, you know, rip your throat out because they're like, why would you keep me hanging? You know, but with these books here, you can keep getting a new book every 3 weeks, and that keeps you just interested. That keeps everything going. So that's something else you want to consider too when you talk your publishing schedule and stuff like that. And so, you know, George, thank you again for being with us on the show, helping us to really unpack the multi-author series and why all authors should do them. And thanks for being with me. Okay.
Glad to be here.
You know, we were talking to George Mc Vey, we were talking to Sophie Dawson, and then talking to Lynn Donovan. They are my compadres in the Java Cupid series that is already out. The first book is called Java Break. It's on Amazon.com, 99 cents, I believe, or no, it'll be $2.99, I think, next week or this week. But go ahead and look it up. You're going to enjoy the book anyway. And one thing that I want to tell you is that you can't get this an opportunity if you sit on your talent. You cannot get the opportunity to work with other authors if you don't pick up that pen and write. You cannot get the opportunity to discover how you can better your craft if you don't pick up the pen and write. You cannot get the opportunity to become the writer that you always wanted if you don't pick up the pen and write. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and write stuff. Thank you for being with me on this edition of The Right Stuff. I'm the queen of Tuesday nights, Parker J. Have a wonderful, absolutely glorious, blessed day.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of The Right Stuff. Follow Parker online at parkerjcole.com. To hear this show and other shows, visit the show archive at therightstuffradio.wordpress.com. We'll be back same time next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Time.